So shadows, reflections, and how light causes them. Well, so basically for reflections, it's light bouncing off, and for shadows, it's light being absorbed. And in the universe, we have matter and dark matter. There's also antimatter. So we'd assume matter is what causes the reflections, or rather, is the reflections, and dark matter are the shadows, what absorbs light itself. So, yeah. And the universe, we have the multiverse, and they're like the shadows. So, this branch in reality, it's basically a wave taking a particular route, but a wave can act as a wave and also as a particle. So there are distinct branches where this particle passed through, but the wave passed through all possible branches. So the branches that led to a dead end, that's where they stopped. And the branches that continued on, that's where they continued on. So this is how the multiverse becomes. But then how does it end up being this particular tree? Well, I stipulated that since the universe is a single point, multiple singular points that are close together, and we assume the connections being like the atomic bonds. So either way, multiple points that are close together, they look like a line, and that's where we end up having this particular tree. So basically, we introduce time into this, and we find that this particular particle is here at this particular point in time. So this singular point in time is considered a screenshot. And then the next moment in time, another screenshot. But then it's not just a particular screenshot, but multiple screenshots. That's where the waves come in. So everything that could have possibly been done is done. And the particular effect that particular action caused comes to be. And so if this particular trail eventually leads to a dead end, that's where it stops. So that's where we find how the branches come in. And how this a reflection, because we're talking of the multiverse being reflections, we'll consider you being in the middle, and then we have two mirrors. So we find ourselves in the middle of an infinite number of reflections. So that's where the multiverse comes in. But where do these mirrors actually come from. So we were considering light being reflected, and I mentioned that we ourselves could be, or rather, we ourselves are that particular light, or rather, we ourselves are, either way, we are light, and light gets reflected, and it also gets absorbed. So, how this particular light gets reflected, we assume, how would you be reflected? Yeah, how could you be reflected? And I'd assume you approach another photon of light. So, well, we deduce that, rather, try to describe that matter is condensed energy, and you being light, your energy. So you'll be reflected by another form of energy, but a mirror is, which is the mirror. So a condensed form of energy, that's the mirror that we're looking for. But not all condensed energy is a mirror, because there are the substances that will absorb you and cast a shadow. So you can either be a reflection or a shadow, or rather, you can either cast a reflection or a shadow. And in somebody's life, basically, this is where good and bad came in now. And bad will be the dimensions, and good will be the reflection. For example. And so, when you do good, you cast a reflection, and that particular thing to which you cast your goodness to, which ended up reflecting, is the mirror. So, doing acts of goodness is essentially reflected towards the community. Okay, let's say that. So, someone else will be the mirror. So, being between two mirrors, or rather, two people, and casting your goodness, it forms the multiverse. But now we're looking at it in terms of the physical. Yeah, the physical. We have this particular point, and this particular point is branching out. So it's like light, energy, a wave that has originated from a single point. But still, we are assuming it to be that particular point. So that's the universe. And in order to have the entire multiverse, it has to be reflected between two mirrors. So the mirrors for this particular universe, well, a mirror, a shining surface, a reflective surface. What would be reflecting the universe? So, what is the universe? Well, the universe is everything entirely. Let's consider space, not as space, time, matter, antimatter, dark matter. I think I mentioned this before. So we have this first we have matter and antimatter. They essentially can't coexist. When matter comes into contact of to antimatter, they explode. But the entire universe isn't just matter. There are empty pockets where these are nothing. Like there's no matter, so that's where antimatter could be existing. But we don't. Essentially, antimatter doesn't exist in our universe. That's can say. Either way, we have matter and dark matter now, because essentially dark matter is neutral. So okay, and they're coexisting, and we have space. That's where matter and antimatter, matter and dark matter exist, and then time, that which is the rate of change of matter and dark matter in space. And there is space-time, how matter affects space and time. I'm not sure about that stuff, but okay. Now for the mirror, we've seen that matter essentially contains energy. So the entire universe itself is energy. Like we stated, it's a wave propagating outwards. So it's energy. And this energy casts a reflection. So the surface at which because it's two surfaces that have caused this particular reflection. Now I'm not saying, okay, I'm interested, but parting from that, we already have the multiverse. We already know that we have the multiverse. So these two mirrors already exist. The effect that it has caused is the multiverse. But still, there are dimensions. So, what is the object that is absorbing the universe again? Because we see that there's a reflection that's being cast, and there's the shadow, because we have dimensions in our universe. Time itself is considered a dimension. So, yeah. So we know there are two surfaces, a reflective one and an absorbent one. And from there, we delve into our dimension, the third dimension. We look at a fourth dimensional object. So, a fourth dimensional object, assuming it to be, we have a fourth dimensional jug. We'll try to fill this fourth dimensional jug, but it will never get full. So, how exactly? Okay. The point is, how exactly? It could be sealed, like there's no way to pour into it, but still you can touch the insides of it. That's a fourth dimensional object in our third dimensional world, and it's this particular reasoning that I'm trying to put to this mirror and Okay, something that casts a shadow. Not a shade. Barrier. Just say a barrier. So this mirror and this barrier, of which the mirrors themselves could be the barriers. So yeah, either way, there's the mirrors and the barriers, which causes the multiverse and the dimensions in which we are living in. And like I said, the mirrors could be the barriers. So imagine a prism. There's in physics, there's internal reflection. So light, which is the universe that is within this particular cube, is reflecting outwards. No, it's propagating outwards. It hits the walls of the prism from within the prism. So, but due to the angle at which it's reflecting outwards, or rather, the reflective surface. Okay, can't explain it well, but a prism is like has mirror properties and glass properties. Light can pass through it at certain angles, and at certain angles, it reflects light. And with this particular universe being within this particular prism, assuming this prism is a cube, either way, so it hits the walls, it gets reflected back inside. So it hits the walls back inside. So it has hit a barrier, causing a shadow. The shadow affects our universe. Our universe has multiple dimensions, but there's still a reflection. This particular reflection causes the multiverse. And that's why the multiverse and the dimensions coexist. Because the mirror that is casting the multiverse is the barrier that is casting the shadow, which is the dimensions.